Alright, so first time making a video in a while. I've been lacking a little bit of motivation lately to record the videos, to tape the fights. You know, just a lot of stuff happened in my personal life that it's kind of taken over my other hobbies. So, but I should be back. Should be back for now. Should be good to go. Tape this week. Obviously, a lot of fights have fallen through, and we'll go through that. But next week looks like a really good card, so I'm keen to get stuck into that one as well. And I already have. So yeah, I'll probably do the individual videos for next week, but for this week, just so many fights are falling through. I can't really be stuffed to do the individual ones. I'm probably gonna try and condense the breakdowns for this one because I'm scared the whole card's gonna collapse on itself. Alright, so I think Vanessa Demopoulos versus Savannah Gomez Juarez has been called off or is postponed till next week. So yeah, it is what it is. Brian Kelleher versus Said Kakhmonov. I feel like that's been postponed as well. So yep. So first fight, Dakota Bush versus I'm just gonna say Slava. I think that's what people call him. Slava Borshchev. Alright, so break down the striking. So for Dakota Bush, I'll open it up. For Dakota Bush, he, in my opinion, is just kind of mashing buttons. He's just kind of pressing things, throwing at anything, not too much structure, not too much strategy behind his striking or anything in his game, honestly. And I think that gasses him out in the end because he's just, throwing a lot of stuff. He's trying to push a pace that he can't keep, and it ends up burning him later on in the fight. And I think that could be really dangerous here against Slava because Slava he comes from that kickboxing background, but also he's got that killer instinct. So if he does see that the opponent is fading or the opponent is hurt, he'll go for the kill there, and he really likes to attack the body. And if Dakota Bush is wilting, if he's gassing out, Slava's going to really go hard on the body. I saw one fight, I can't remember which one it was, for Slava. He just went to the body like crazy, just throwing hooks to the body just non-stop. I think it was the Kennedy fight, yeah, I think it was the St. Louis fight. Kennedy, St. Louis, yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, so Borshchev keeps that high guard. He can back up onto the fence when he is blitzed, and that could be a problem for him here because Dakota Bush, I think he's going to look to wrestle. I don't think he's going to look to keep it on the feet for that long just because of Slava's background and the highlight reel he's put together so far. So I think Dakota Bush is going to try and blitz in. He's going to go for the double leg on the fence. And that's pretty much if Slava can stop the takedowns, then obviously I think he's just going to piece him up on the feet, especially if it goes late and Dakota Bush is, kind of feeling the pressure. He's getting a little bit uncomfortable, he's gassing, he's fatiguing. I feel like Slava will finish him late on, but from what I've seen from Slava, his takedown defense needs a lot of work. He doesn't do anything really correct. Like he doesn't widen his base, he doesn't fight hands, he doesn't stuff the head down. He doesn't really do anything that you want to see a person do when they're defending a takedown. So, maybe he's improved that a little bit. I think he trains at Team Alpha Male, but he's probably the biggest guy at Team Alpha Male, right? I don't know, but yeah, like he's probably not getting that many good looks at 155 or welterweights. Big guys that want to take him down. He's probably getting like Chad Mendes or Cody Garbrandt, guys like that trying to take him down, which isn't great, honestly. But yeah, his takedown defense needs a lot of work, and that does give me worry in this matchup because Dakota Bush, I think he does have a wrestling background or something like that, but on the feet, I see Slava just piecing him up, really hurting him to the body, hitting him with a few uppercuts when Dakota's dipping and just, going crazy, mashing buttons, throwing overhands, and he's dipping his head way down. I feel like Slava's going to catch him with a few uppercuts. He seems to like the uppercuts. But yeah, that it comes down to whether Slava's whether Dakota Bush can get him down, because I think Dakota will fatigue eventually, so the third round's going to be hairy any which way the first 2 rounds go. So yeah, it's not a fight that I'm too confident in either side, but yeah, I feel like Slava on the feet is going to see everything that Bush is throwing. He's going to dodge it, he's going to counter it pretty much effortlessly. I'm pretty worried for Bush on the feet. He's going to leave a lot of openings, he's going to run into a few left hooks, and the guy seems to have a bit of power, so I think Bush's path to victory is deeply predicated on the fact that he needs takedowns, and if he can't, then he's probably going to get beat up on the feet. I could see his blast doubles working since Slava's takedown defense and his wrestling instincts in general are just not there, and he's not very good at wrestling. So, you know, if he can get Slava down, he should focus on top control. Generally tries to focus on like damage and go for low percentage submissions, and it could let Slava up when really he should just, you know, be content with top control here in this fight, because he doesn't want to really lose another fight in the UFC. You know, 0-2 to start with the promotion. It's not a good look, so he probably is fiending for a dub here. So I wouldn't be surprised if he takes the safe route and just goes all out for takedowns and just, you know, kind of lays and prays. But yeah, he does gas in high-paced fights, and I feel like this is going to be pretty high-paced. If Bush hits a wall, even after winning the first 2 rounds and can't get the takedown, and he's just sitting duck in front of Slava, I think there's a good chance that Slava just puts him away pretty quickly, you know, in the 3rd round. It's going to be a very hairy, pardon the pun, round for Dakota Bush, I think. So we'll have a look at the betting lines. So the prediction is Borshchev by KO, either late round 2 or just sometime in round 3. I think he should be quite a big favourite, but I just don't want to bet him right now. He's pretty green, he's 5-1, and he's got a lot of grappling holes, so I don't want to pay juice on him like this. I'd bet him if it was $1.70. I'm not going to get to that price, I don't think. I'm hoping to live bet Slava. If Bush is expending a lot of energy and he's having a little bit of success with the grappling, then I'd look to live bet Slava because I think he'd finish him late. So yeah, let's have a look at the other lines. Yeah, not much I like here, honestly. Alright, what's the next fight? So we got, Charles Rose and TJ Brown. I don't really know. I don't really want to look into it, honestly. It's not a fight I care too much about. So this one, Brahimaj versus McGee. I think Brahimaj has a pretty big advantage in the age discrepancy. You know, usually it doesn't really matter about the age difference, but this one, you know, a 29-year-old versus a 37-year-old. I think statistically, if you looked up that type of age gap with guys that are like 37, so, you know, guys that are like 37 versus guys in their late 20s, I feel like the old guy really doesn't win a whole lot. But, you know, it's always a good story when they do win, but I feel like McGee, he's at the latter stage of his career. Brahimaj is not a super big prospect in my opinion, but he's still a young guy. He's improving fight to fight, it seems. I do think he's the better striker. I think he's a better striker, a better grappler as well. So Ramiz, he's a bit sharper on the feet. He's not a great striker. Like, both are very limited. Both like the 1-2, the counter 2. Both are very limited, as I said, yeah, but Brahimaj seems a little bit sharper. McGee, he's going to come forward. He's going to try and, you know, push a pace. That's how he makes these fights close. Like, really, that fights that he probably has no business being competitive in, he makes them close with his durability, his constant volume, and his willingness to come forward. You know, fights like Sean Brady, like the fight with Sean Brady, the fight with Diego Lima, the fight with, you know, even Whitaker. He made that a split decision. So, you know, The guy has no business in those fights being... those fights on paper have no business being close, but, you know, this guy's attributes and the dog in him do will him to make these fights competitive. So it's really hard to write this guy off. He's going to do all the right things in the eyes of the judges, and, you know, he's going to fight. He's going to fight. And he's got good cardio. Ramiz, suspect cardio in my opinion. He seems to gas after 1.5 rounds in high-paced fights. So that is a little bit of a worry here. Because McGee is going to push a pace and he won't stop. In regards to the grappling, as I said, I think Brahimaj is the better grappler. I think he's a pretty decent grappler, honestly. He's got good body lock takedowns, body lock to the outside leg trip. In the open, he can shoot from too far out and expose, you know, his intentions for the takedown and get caught in traps from the opponent, submission traps, or just, you know, easily give the opponent an easy opportunity to grab underhooks. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, if opponents do shoot on him, he'll look to jump guillotine. It's probably not the move here. Caught, I don't think he's ever been subbed, but yeah, it's just jumping guillotine. If you're not Brian Ortega, just don't do it. And caught McGee, he might shoot takedowns. I don't think he will, because unless he's getting pieced up on the feet, but I don't know, I feel like he might be a little bit just, I don't know, not afraid, but just concerned about the ground game of Brahimaj. Maybe. But yeah, caught McGee, he has this one tendency to give his back up every single time when he tries to get back to his feet. Thought it would burn him in the Silva matchup, but Silva just had like 3 minutes of cardio, so nothing really mattered in the end of that one. For Brahimaj, he's got a good chin, he's tough. Both these guys, chin, tough. Caught McGee on the feet, I think he's there to be hit, slow reactions. You know, as I said before, technically outmatched by most of his opponents, but he's a dog. For Brahimaj, subpar takedown defense also goes for that stupid guillotine. I think the path to victory for these two is for Caught McGee, obviously just push a pace, try and really put it on him, especially later on in the fight. Mix in takedowns, especially later on in the fight when you're more likely to complete those takedowns. And for Brahimaj, I think try and get it to the mat, and if you're unable to get him down, don't burn yourself out going for the takedowns early on in the fight, because I do believe you are the better striker, so don't be afraid to just, you know, bang it out, because I do feel like for 2 rounds at least, you should be the sharper striker and you should be able to outstrike him. But yeah, if you do get him down, look for the back take when he eventually gives it up to get back to his feet. So Caught's takedown defense, I think it has improved a fair bit. Probably not enough to stop every single takedown of Brahimaj, but he could make Brahimaj work just enough in the first half of the fight that Ramiz will slow down significantly in the second half. And, you know, the guy's never been subbed, so you don't expect him to get him out of there early like you did with Sasha Palatnikov. I don't think that's going to happen with Caught McGee. But I don't think he's going to need to. I don't think he's even going to need to take him down. I do believe Ramiz is the better striker, and he has better strike and defense, you know, by a slim margin in both those categories, but still, I do believe he is kind of superior everywhere. But, you know, you could say that about most of Caught McGee's opponents, and then he just kind of makes the fight competitive with those attributes that I talked about before. So, yeah, it's a tough fight to call, but I do think Ramiz is just kind of better everywhere. He's younger, so I'm going to have a hard time picking against him here. Prediction is Ramiz by decision. I think he should be a pretty decent favourite, honestly, to like 60 to 65% win rate, in my opinion. I'm going to bet Ramiz, especially at evens. I was going to bet him all the way down to $1.75 or minus 135. What's Ramiz decision? I was kind of hoping for $4. The money line's good enough for me, honestly. Let's go the distance, because Caught McGee, he's very durable, and also he doesn't know how to finish fights, so it's likely you're going to cover yourself from a Caught McGee win if you bet goes the distance and bet Ramiz money line, which is what I'm going to do. So yeah, let's have a look at the next fight. Oh, okay, we got this one. So Jamie Pickett versus Joseph Holmes. So Joseph Holmes, his striking needs a little bit of work in my opinion. He throws the 1-2. He throws the 1-2 quite slow in my opinion. He takes a big step in before throwing his jab, so you know he's going to throw it. He never really feints the jab, so if he's taking a step forward, he's committing to the jab. He does have his chin in the air when he's firing combinations, so he just like kind of throws the 1-2 with his chin in the air at all times basically. Throws kicks in close range, and he does have his hands low and his chin in the air when he is throwing those kicks. He does like the body kick in the open stance. I think Pickett is a southpaw, right? I'm not sure I can't remember if Jones is a southpaw, but pretty sure. I think, yeah, anyway, body kicks are going to be open for him, for Jones that is. So for Jamie Pickett, he's mostly throwing singular strikes. He rarely lets his hands go, but when he does, he seems to have his most success in the fight. But to me, it seems like he's a little bit afraid to be hit. I think I just don't think he likes to be hit, or no one likes to be hit. But this is your profession, so you kind of got to just cop that. It's part of the job, really. So. But the reasoning is that he takes these huge movements to avoid strikes. It's a very over exaggerated with the type of head movement that he would use to avoid just a jab or something like that. Backs up quite easily. He's always backing up basically. He reaches in close for the opponent. Just kind of reaches for the clinch whenever the opponent does close distance, even though he doesn't really have a good clinch game. So like we saw him get pretty much dominated in the clinch by Staropoli. Well, not dominated, but just dominated positionally. I think he won the fight because he was just like kind of throwing a little bit, a few more knees, I guess. I didn't really I didn't really pay too much attention to the fight. It looked a really bad fight. But it's, anyway, his clinch game's not all that. It's not great. He does have a straight left. I was about to say a nice straight left, but it's not really. He throws it. When he does let his hands go, he's okay, but he really does throw that. Yeah, both these guys, nothing to write home about in the striking department. For Joseph Holmes, I think most of his wins are by submission, but he's not a very strong wrestler. He's not very good at taking the fight to the mat. The only takedown that I've seen him hit is the outside leg trip on the fence, and he's just not very good at it. He's just not very good at that takedown. So past to victory. So for Joseph Holmes, fence push. I think you could push him against the fence, use your size. If Staropoli's able to do it, you should be able to do it. Jamie Pickett, in my opinion, doesn't seem very strong, even though, you just look at the guy. You'd think that he would be, pretty physically strong, but he just seems to get thrown around a bit in fights, and you saw him just getting pushed against the fence by Staropoli, who's barely a middleweight. And this guy, look at this guy's size, man. It's like 6'2", 80-inch reach. Like, he's getting bullied against the fence by Staropoli. Yeah, I don't know. Just, yeah, it is what it is. For Pickett, just be a bit more active on the feet. Watch out for the outside leg trip. That's basically all he goes for, takedown-wise. And look to mix in takedowns of your own. Alright, how I see the fight going? So, as you can probably tell, not my favourite fight in the card. I'm not a fan of Jamie Pickett, honestly. I think he's a bit of a flake. I think he gets by on probably just athleticism, physical advantages. I mean, the guy's reach is insane. But, yeah, truth be told, I think he needs to find another profession. One that doesn't involve getting punched in the face, because he's obviously terrified of that. And there's a lot of jobs out there that have that, criteria, that you don't get punched in the face, and this is basically the only profession that you do get punched in the face. So I'm not sure why he's here, but it is what it is. Probably be fairly clinchy, fairly boring to watch. Holmes, he's just faced such a poor level of competition, and he hasn't even looked good against that level of competition. And Pickett, say what you want, he's faced decent competition, I guess, and Holmes' wrestling is just not very good. He's just not very strong at all. in the wrestling department, and I feel like Pickett's size and athleticism alone should be enough to nullify the wrestling of Holmes. And on the feet, I feel like it's pretty even, you know. Holmes might just edge the stand-up by just throwing a little bit more, but I feel like Pickett lets his hands go. I feel like he could win quite easily. He's probably not going to do that. His fights like a pussy always. It's pretty hard for me to pick him to win a fight because he does fight like he's terrified of fighting. But, you know, I don't know. Let's have a look at the betting lines. So prediction is, I can't believe I'm going to pick Pickett, but I am going to pick him by decision. I think it should be basically a pick 'em. Where are we? There we are. I think fight goes the distance. I'm going to bet that. The only thing I'm worried about is Pickett quitting. And that's the only thing I'm worried about this fight not making the cards, because I feel like it's going to be very low paced. It's going to be a lot of clinching. I think Pickett's, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get too involved in this fight, but if I was going to bet anything, I'm going to bet that goes the distance. Alright, what's the next fight? So I'm hoping this fight's still on. I'm hearing whispers that Brito, his corner or something, has got COVID. So I hope this fight's still on, because it has the potential to be pretty fun, honestly. So yeah, I'll break it down anyway. Break down the striking of these two. Alright, so, you know, both these guys have different styles for sure. For Brito, he's just kind of a little bulldozer. He just kind of comes forward. He's always going to be coming forward. He's always going to be standing right in front of you. His head doesn't move off center line, but he just plants his feet and he just fires hooks, left-right hooks. That's basically it. He'll sometimes switch stance, and in southpaw, the only thing he basically throws is a high kick. So that's all you have to worry about when he's in southpaw, really. For Senor Perfecto, he will switch stance frequently. He tries to give you a lot of different looks. He throws a lot of naked kicks. He throws a lot of volume. I think the volume discrepancy will be pretty large in favor of Algeo on the feet, because Brito, you know, he stands there, plants his feet and throws hooks, but in between, Algeo is just going to be pumping the jab out, just throwing, you know, pitter-patter kicks and just scoring points, really. So yeah, on the feet, I feel like Algeo probably outpoints him. Takes a few hooks, but probably outpoints him, throws a bit more volume. Algeo is a little reckless on the feet. He's a little reckless when he's closing distance, especially. His chin's in the air, his hands are low. He just refuses to bring his hands up, basically. And he throws a lot of those naked kicks. He throws them in range. And as I said before, chin in the air, hands low. It's just, it's dangerous against this guy, who seems to have a little bit of power, and he goes for the finish for sure. He just plants his feet, just throws hooks, and he puts everything behind him. One thing Algeo does that I think could be quite effective in this fight is the intercepting knee. He throws the knees up, he gets the knees up quite quick, you know, as the taller fighter, generally facing a shorter fighter at this weight class. You know, I think those knees are going to be quite effective, especially at the height of Brito, you know. And Brito, he can be quite predictable with those level changes. That's why I think this could be such an effective move in this fight, because Brito, he does get a little predictable with his reactive double. So, you know, if the opponent tries to close distance on him or pressures him, he generally just looks to immediately level change. So, you know, can get a little bit predictable there. I think the outside leg kicks could be good for Brito. Doesn't really throw him a whole lot, but Algeo's just never checked the leg kick in his life, so it could be a good move here. The grappling, I think it gets interesting. I think Brito, he's going to be able to take Algeo down basically whenever he wants. Algeo just doesn't have good fundamentals when defending takedowns. He doesn't get a wide base when defending takedowns. He doesn't hand fight. He doesn't really fight takedowns, honestly. Like, he gives his back up in basically every clinch situation. He gives his back up in every scramble. I think Brito, if he wants to, he can take the back pretty easily of Algeo. You know, Brito is pretty strong in the clinch from what it seems. I feel like he can get that body lock and probably drag Algeo to the ground over and over again. And Algeo will engage in that clinch situation. You know, when he overextends on his techniques, he will like kind of clinch up just instinctively, and that's where he gets in trouble, is in the clinch, because he's always giving up his back in the clinch, and he often loses the head position battle in the clinch. So he's giving up position in the clinch, he's giving up underhooks constantly, and just in general he's pretty lax in grappling and clinch situations, and he can often that can end him up that can have him end up in inferior positions, just because he's just a little lax and the opponent has a little bit more process and they're a little bit more focused on the position. Yeah. But yeah, Brito seems to be pretty content with staying in guard and looking for ground and pound. Like, he doesn't really look to advance at all. He's pretty good submission defense. We saw that in his last fight against Lopez. You know, I can't see him getting caught in a submission from Algeo. Yeah, so how I see the fight going? So Brito, he's going to come forward, and I don't know if Algeo is going to be able to get Brito off him. Like, it's going to be hard for him to get respect with his hands, his kicks. I think he's going to have to land like a flying knee or some shit to even get Brito like to back off him, because Brito's just going to keep coming forward. As I said before, he's just a little bulldozer. So I imagine Algeo is going to be backpedaling a fair bit early on in this one for sure, and as he carries his hands super low and relies on head movement to avoid punches, it's just a dangerous proposition, because if Brito pressures Algeo onto the fence, Algeo won't be able to lean back, he won't be able to lean forward because Brito's there. So his only options basically are to lean left or right, and he's probably going to walk. He has to guess correctly, because he's gonna move into, because Algeo, what's his name, Brito is going to throw left and right hooks, so he's got to guess correctly if he's going to move his head either direction. He's just got to watch out for the hooks, especially when he's on the fence, because he can only move his head in two directions. So yeah, normally it would be advisable to keep your guard up, especially against an opponent like this, and use your footwork to evade the situation, but you know, Algeo doesn't seem like the guard up type, likes to keep the hands low at all times. I think that's just instinctual for him. I don't think he's gonna even put them up, just really doesn't like to do it. But yeah, most likely he's gonna look to clinch up in those situations, but if he does want to clinch up, I feel like Brito is going to be able to outmuscle him, and I think he's going to be able to ground Algeo from the clinch with takedowns, you know, from the body lock, changes level or double leg, doesn't really matter. I think he's going to be able to take him down. I think the takedowns that Ricardo got Algeo with, I think Brito will be able to 100% replicate those takedowns. And yeah, I think he can take him down basically whenever, however he wants. And Brito's gas tank, it seems good from watching tape. He's never really faced someone with good get-ups, so, you know, sitting in guard, that's the only place in a fight really where you can catch your breath, and he seems to do that quite a bit. So yeah, his previous opponents, they've given him a lot of time to sit in guard and catch his breath and recover. So Algeo's not going to do that. Algeo's going to make him work. So he's going to have to keep working for takedowns. He's going to have to keep taking Algeo down, and you know, the gas tank is a little bit of a concern for me, because historically, jacked Brazilians who load up on every shot don't have the best cardio, just historically, you know. So yeah, it's a bit unknown. It's a bit of an unknown for me, the cardio issue. But yeah, Algeo is going to make him work for takedowns. So yeah, let's have a look at the betting lines. Yeah, so prediction is Brito by decision. I think the line's a little bit too in favour of Brito now. I don't really want to play him. I think the line's about correct now. But yeah, so I didn't want to play him big anyway, just because of the unknowns with the cardio, and Algeo is going to make him work. What's Brito decision? Brito decision's okay, but I was kind of hoping for a little bit wider. If I was to play anything now, it would be Brito decision. Goes the distance, where's that? Yeah, I wanted a better price on that as well, so yeah, unfortunate. Alright, what's the next fight? Okay, so Chase Sherman versus Jake Collier. Alright, where are we? So yeah, Chase, he walks forward, he tries to do the 3-2, tries to do the 1-2-3, that's his favourite combinations, for sure. He leans back to avoid jabs, he doesn't move his head off centre line. Collier actually has a decent stiff jab, so I feel like the stiff jab, you got to pump it out there. Just really keep snapping, chase his head back. I feel like the jab's going to be there for Collier. Collier has a boxing style, he keeps that high guard, the body's open if Chase wants to go to that. Collier will mix in low kicks, Chase doesn't react well to low kicks. Chase throws low kicks as well, and I feel like the boxing centric style of Collier, he's heavy on the lead leg, so maybe you can have some success with that there. But yeah, you know, should be a fun fight, I guess. I think Collier's a little bit better defensively on the feet. He likes the left hook for sure. He shells up, and then when the opponent closes distance, he looks for the short left hook. But I think the jab, yeah, could be a really good weapon for Collier, and if he keeps the volume up throughout the whole fight, because he seems to fight through fatigue a little bit better than Chase Sherman. Both have decent volume, but I feel like Collier fights through fatigue a little bit better. I think both are a little bit flaky, both slow after 1.5 rounds, but I think Chase has worse body language, and you know, he just visibly wilts. You can see him wilting, and you can see you know, the opponent having a lot more success and the momentum just swinging as soon as the fight hits about 7.5 minutes, unless it's all going Chase Sherman's way. If there's a bit of adversity, then he's probably just going to wilt. Yeah, so past the victory, volume on the jab, talked about it, leg kicks for Collier, leg kicks for Sherman as well. Keep him on the heels. If you're Chase Sherman, you just want to, you know, keep him against the fence. You want to be the one going forward, and you want to hit the body. You want to hit the body a whole lot when he's shelling up. How is the fight going? So yeah, you know, should be competitive. Both are basically the same fighter. I think it's going to be a little bit of a mirror match. You know, both are basically the same fighter. Like, it's that Spider-Man meme where they're just pointing at each other. Like, they're both basically just the archetype is just the exact same. Like, they're just basically the same person. I'm gonna go Sherman even though I kind of thought I was gonna go Collier, but I'm gonna go Sherman because I think he'll be a bit more aggressive, and I feel like the leg kicks should be working for him. Like, I think he's gonna have most of his success early on. I think he wins the first 2 rounds at like a 60 to 70% clip. So yeah, you know, neither guy's trustworthy, honestly. Chase Sherman lost his last 5 of his last 6 fights in the UFC, and his only win in that time period was Ike Villanueva, who isn't great, and his other 2 wins in the UFC, Grabowski, which is, you know, literally who, and Rashad Collier. So yeah, 3-7 in the UFC all up, so not a trustworthy guy, but you know, I feel like he's going to be a bit more aggressive here, and I feel like he will just edge a decision. I do feel like it's going to go to the cards. Alright, so where are we? Oops. So yeah, either guy at $2.40 I was willing to pay. Don't want to bet a favourite, don't want to bet someone at basically a pick'em. It's just not enough edge for me in this kind of fight that I want. Goes the distance, damn, I really hope that would be like evens or something. You know, I feel like it does go to the distance of quite a high rate, just because I don't feel like either has too much killer instinct and neither have too much power. So yeah, but I don't know. Probably just gonna stay away, but if I was to bet anything, it'd be that goes the distance. Alright, so this should be a fun one. Royval versus Bontorin. So so Royval, he's southpaw. He's got a much larger frame than Bontorin. I think he's got a 4-inch height advantage, 4-inch reach advantage. He's a southpaw. He's got a very unorthodox rhythm. He's just constantly pumping out the jab. He's going to have quite a serious volume discrepancy on Bontorin. Bontorin, he's a bit more of a power puncher, likes to wait and pick his shots, as we saw in the Schnell fight. You know, not a very high volume fight. So I think Royval's going to really push the pace on Bontorin, and on the feet I feel like he's just going to outpoint him as he was with Pantoja. But the problem with Royval is that he's a little bit, he's very reckless, honestly. So he's very reckless, and he's just very, puts himself at risk of being finished just constantly. So, you know, that's the dynamic with Royval. And I feel like, that tendency that he has of giving his back, which I thought would cost him in the Pantoja fight, and it did. It absolutely cost him here. Yeah. So yeah, I think it could definitely cost him here, because Bontorin, he's a sound grappler. He's competent on the ground for sure. He's good defensively grappling, and he's good offensively. And if he gets the body lock, he's very strong in the clinch, and he's very strong in that position. And Royval, he just gives his back up every single clinch, every single time he's trying to get back to his feet. And if Royval can if Bontorin can take the back, I feel like it could be another rear naked choke. I think that was right. Yeah, rear naked choke. So that's the worry with Royval, is that he's just reckless, and he probably will be outpointing Bontorin until he gets finished. If he does get finished, or if Bontorin is to win, it's likely going to be a finish, I think. So yeah, on the feet, I feel like Royval just outpoints him, unless he hits a huge shot from Bontorin. Could potentially get Bontorin out of there late, honestly, with the pace that he's going to push. And Bontorin's chin's a little bit suspect as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Royval, but I'm not confident, because he does have a lot of tendencies that are going to give him trouble in this type of matchup. It's just a little bit worrying. So let's have a look at the betting lines. Yeah, so I'm not willing to pay that much juice on Royval, just because he's going to put himself in positions that are going to get him in trouble again. He's not going to learn from them, I don't think. And he's going to get his back taken probably, and it's just very dangerous proposition against Bontorin, who's quite content to just ride out a whole round in back mount. So, that's the worry here. But I do feel like he should just outpoint him on the feet and just kind of out cardio him in general. So yeah, I've got to go with Royval, but honestly not too confident in this fight. I think Royval is a bit of an interesting character to break down, because he's going to be winning until he isn't. It's basically his dynamic, just every fight. Alright, next fight. Alright, what's the next fight? Alright, so a rematch that everyone was calling for. So it's Katlyn Chookagian versus Jennifer Maia. Katlyn Chookagian, pretty good frame for the division, so she's got 5 inches on Jennifer Maia. She's got 4 inches in reach on Jennifer Maia. Breakdown striking, I think Katlyn Chookagian, she had a pretty big speed advantage in the first fight, and I think that was quite prevalent in their first matchup. She was landing like 2 shots. Jennifer Maia was trying to throw the counter 2. She couldn't really get it off. Katlyn Chookagian was kind of out of there after she landed her 1-2, and Jennifer Maia was just missing a lot. And I feel like, Chookagian is just a lot faster than her. Jennifer Maia, just boxing centric, as I said before, pretty simple. 1-2, the counter 2. That's generally what she goes for, counter striker, but she was missing her counters against Katlyn the first fight. Katlyn, she has her flaws, she's heavy on the lead leg, very heavy on the lead leg, very pronounced of how she is just super heavy on the lead leg. And it's pretty much straight, it's just begging to be leg kicked, and she doesn't check leg kicks. Like one from Jessica Andrade put her down, and I'm just waiting for women's MMA to catch on to the leg kick trend, because none of them seem to throw it, and it's such a useful weapon. But yeah, barely any of them seem to throw it. Jennifer Maia only seems to throw inside leg kicks, which do fuck all, really. Yeah, so I'd prefer to throw the outside leg kick in this matchup, but probably not going to happen if I'm being realistic. Break down the grappling. So both are like kind of guard players that don't really go for takedowns. Jennifer Maia, she's quite comfortable off her back. She will just sit on her back and not really have any urgency to get back to her feet. She likes the armbar from her back. I don't see her subbing Chookagian. Chookagian's quite a good grappler. I think her ground game is quite underrated. No one's been able to control her on the ground bar Valentina Shevchenko, and she's got a very active guard. She gets the legs high very quickly. She locks in that triangle pretty quickly. She gets the arm bars, the triangles. She's very active off her back as well, but she will work back to her feet. Whereas, what's her name? Maia is pretty comfortable just to sit there and just kind of lock her guard up. But yeah, Maia, I think where she can cause Chookagian some problems is that she is strong in the clinch. Chookagian can be controlled in the clinch quite easily. But yeah, Maia is pretty strong in the clinch, likes the knees to the body in the clinch. I think that's where she wants to win. Well, that's where she wants the fight to be, sorry. Win fights, so for Chookagian, good volume, that wins her decisions. She knows how to win decisions. She's 8-2 when it hits the scorecards in the UFC, and 2 of those losses were split decisions that probably could have gone the other way. How these guys lose fights, so Chookagian, 0 takedown defense, doesn't defend takedowns at all. And for Jennifer Maia, the grappling tendencies, just being too comfortable off her back, really. So, past the victory. So, for Katlyn Chookagian, the normal game plan, I guess, just spam volume, move your feet, just the normal game plan, make the noises, I guess. Be on the front foot, mix in takedowns if you want. I think she would oblige in just sitting on her back. For Jennifer Maia, the leg kicks, which we talked about before, but I don't have high hopes. Mix in takedowns, hold her against the fence, as we talked about before. How I see the fight going? So Katlyn's footwork and reflexes made it really hard for Maia to land her right hand at all in the first fight, and I think that's pretty much all she looks for, really. So I think the speed advantage for Chookagian was a big difference maker. Maia just really couldn't land anything clean to the head, and the output discrepancy also played a big part as well in the fight going in favour of Katlyn Chookagian. I think Jennifer Maia could win quite easily, honestly, with the right game plan. I think leg kicks would allow her to win super easily, but at this level of MMA, women's MMA, sorry, there just isn't as much strategy as you would see in the equivalent men's weight class. Like, there's never been a non-championship women's MMA fight where leg kicks have been used as a game plan. I can only think of like a few fights with Joanna using them, and maybe Viviane Arujau uses them a little bit, but not a whole lot. I just can't think of any other than that off the top of my head. Like, they just never throw leg kicks. It's been such a big thing in MMA over the past few years, and female fighters just haven't seemed to catch on to that trend. So I guess it just hasn't, women's MMA hasn't been around for long enough, and improvements do tend to happen a lot slower in women's MMA fighters, in my opinion. But yeah, bar a few fighters, they're not really evolving fight to fight. You can kind of expect them to look the same as their last fight, and with that reasoning, I don't think either have improved a whole lot, and they're probably going to look roughly the same, and I think it's going to be the same result, really. It's going to be Chookagian just kind of outpointing her, probably for a 30-27 or a 29-28. Yeah. Alright, let's have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so, one sec. Alright, so, oh yeah, Chookagian by decision, sorry, is the prediction. I think the lines, it's getting a little bit too wide. Well, it's not too wide. One sec. I think the line still has a tiny bit of value on it, but it's very slim. I think Chookagian is rightfully quite a big favourite. I don't think there's any value on Jennifer Maia. If I was going to bet Chookagian, I'd probably just bet her decision line, really. Like, I don't see her finishing too much. She couldn't finish a dinner plate, really. So, yeah. What's Jennifer Maia decision? I mean, yeah, I think goes the distance is as close to a lock as you can get. I don't see either of them finishing. Both have pretty good submission defense. Both have, I don't see them knocking each other out. So yeah, pretty sure that's a lock. But that's what I think of the fight, honestly. All right, so where are we? Sweet, at the main event. So this is probably one of the only fights that I'm super keen for, and I think is actually an intriguing matchup on this card. It's a pretty average card, honestly, but yeah, this is a really good matchup. Alright, so the confidence of both these guys, or theoretically the confidence of both these guys, are probably are traveling in opposite directions. You know, since the Holloway fight, Kattar's taken a long time off. It was a really bad beating, whereas Chikadze's won like 7 in a row or something like that. So, you know, momentum all on Giga's side. We'll break down the stylistic matchup in the striking first. So Giga, he's got that kickboxing background. He's got a very refined kicking game. He's got good distance management as well, which allows for the kicks. He likes to constantly switch stance. He likes to mirror the opponent's stance, so, you know, kind of open up the Giga kick for him, which is the roundhouse body kick in southpaw, which he likes, or the switch body kick in orthodox. He's very accurate with that, you know, the Giga kick with his left leg, and he will use feints to set up that kick. Likes to go low first, then go to the body, then go up top. You know, likes to mix it in quite a bit. I think he's going to want to blast low kicks in this one, just because Kattar's had problems with dealing with low kicks before. Kattar's had real trouble in the Moicano fight with low kicks. He had trouble in the Stevens fight with low kicks. I think that's what he's going to want to do, because Kattar's going to want to come forward, and he's going to want to close the distance. So if you're Chikadze, you want to walk him onto those leg kicks. I think if I was to simplify Chikadze's game, I would say he throws the body kick or the straight left in southpaw, and then when he's in orthodox, he's throwing the jab or he's trying to kick the low calf. So yeah, just simplified, oversimplified, that would be his game. Just gonna pause it while it's playing goes over. So yeah, as I said, Kattar's gonna want to come forward. He's a, you know, he's got crisp boxing. He's a boxer, boxing foundation. He likes to close the distance. I mean, he's gonna want to try and close distance against Giga, because he's not gonna want to stay at kickboxing range against Chikadze. So he's gonna want to pressure, and he likes to use the jab to perpetuate that pressure, that double jab maybe, to perpetuate that forward pressure, get the opponent backing up. If he can get Giga backing up, and if he can get him really backing up onto the fence, you know, kind of not giving him any space for his kicks, then I feel like that's obviously what he should want to do. Kattar, he likes a straight right to catch the opponent when they're trying to close distance, because if they want to close distance, it's because they're trying to relieve the forward pressure that he's putting on them, and that's when he catches them with the straight right, the intercepting straight right, and I think that is his most lethal weapon, in my opinion. And Chikadze could walk onto that. There was like a sequence in the Edson fight where Chikadze just kind of blitzed forward, bum rushed in with his chin in the air, throwing boxing combinations, and it just wasn't a good look. I think it was in the 3rd round, maybe late 2nd or something like that. But yeah, he seemed to have enough of the pressure, and he just tried to blitz forward, try to get Edson off him, and he just was really reckless in that moment. But the thing with Kattar is that he'll probably be on the front foot here, which is good, but he has very linear movement. Like, he just goes straight forward, straight back. He doesn't cut off the cage when he's pressuring the opponent, which is going to give Giga a way out with his footwork to, you know, just escape, get back to the center of the octagon, or, you know, just always find an angle that he can cut and then just escape the pressure of Kattar. But yeah, Kattar, if he wants to have any success in this fight, he needs to get in close, and he's got very tight hooks in close. He's got good boxing defense in close. He's got nice slips, nice parries, good footwork at distance. I think he's going to want to slip Giga's jab. Giga's jab comes out. You can kind of see it. It's pretty. It's not telegraphed, but it's not the best jab I've ever seen. And he doesn't generally follow it up with anything. He just throws the jab. So if you're able to slip that jab, you come back with combinations and maybe even, you know, go into the body, because I feel like when Edson went to the body against Giga, he did not like it at all. And I feel like Kattar, he will go for that, you know, that body attack, or if he feels like the opponent is weak in a certain area, let's say the body, then he will go for the finish there, and he will try and target that area. Like, he has that killer instinct, and he has gone to the body in the past, especially against opponents who keep that high guard and they cover up. He's going to go to the body. I think Kattar's very durable, he's well conditioned, and I think conditioning is probably going to play a big part in this fight, because Giga, when the fight goes late, he starts using his hands more, he starts boxing more, and I feel like fatigue is a big factor of that, because he's not able to use his footwork as much, and he's not able to get the space for his kicks, so he starts, the opponent's able to close distance easier, and it just initiates more boxing exchanges, which is not what he wants to do here against Kattar, because Giga, he's just kind of winging a lot of his punches. He doesn't really set up a lot of his boxing strikes. Mostly they're just one and done, doesn't set them up, just wings them out, and he's always dipping his head when he's throwing his overhands or his hooks in orthodox, so he's just going to watch out for that uppercut, because who did Kattar catch the uppercut? Catch with the uppercut? I think it was Burgos. Caught him with a really nice uppercut and sat him down. It was one of the nicest knockouts of that year. In regards to the grappling, Kattar, he has wrestled a little bit before, in previous UFC fights. I think he likes to catch it. It's not really something he comes in with a game plan and says, I'm going to wrestle. It's just more instinctive in his UFC career, because he's mostly got his takedowns from catching a kick and then running the pipe on a single leg, like the Andre Fili fight and the Dan Ige fight was him catching a kick and grounding the opponent. But I feel like he should wrestle here against Chikadze, a little bit at least, just mix it in, because Chikadze still looks very uncomfortable in grappling exchanges. He looks very uncomfortable in the clinch. As soon as you clinch up, he's just kind of pushing away on the face, he's pulling away, he's just kind of really trying to squirm his way out of there, and I think he panics a little bit. He gives up double underhooks easy. Saw that in the Jamal Emmers fight, gave him up super easy. His takedown defense looks really bad, his get-ups look even worse, and he seems to slow down earlier if the fight does involve a bit of grappling. So I feel like if nothing else, it should be on the menu for Kattar, just so Giga will slow down a bit quicker. So how I see the fight going? So a very compelling match. It's a kickboxer versus a boxer, a guy who just took an all-time spanking versus a guy who's on fire. He's undefeated in the UFC. So it's both these guys are going in different directions in terms of momentum, in terms of confidence. Giga, he has a really, really nice kicking game. It's really good. It's a very nice kicking game. I think his leg kicks are going to be a huge problem for Kattar, but I think his path to victories, or his paths to victory, are far more limited than Kattar's. I think Giga's situations, that he's going to be winning the fight, or he's going to come out victorious, is that he gets the leg kicks off early against Kattar and he severely compromises the lead leg of Kattar. Or the other situation is that Kattar just stands in front of him, not doing anything, not imposing his will or anything like that, and is just happy enough to have a kickboxing match and doesn't really put any pressure, doesn't press the issue or anything like that. And both these situations still predicate on him having a lot of success early on, because he does fade as the fight wears on, and Kattar is super durable. He's probably not a guy that you're going to blast out of there with a few kicks. Also, he's a guy that starts slow, so Giga will probably be having a lot of success early on, but Kattar picks it up as the fight goes on, and that has burned him in the past in the Holloway fight, because Holloway is just he's a train. He's a steam train. Once he gets going, he's just going to get faster and faster. He's going to get, better and better. I don't really know the analogy, I'm too tired for it, but I think it's going to be more of an advantage in this matchup for Kattar, because Giga, when he gets tired, he starts throwing his hands a lot more than his kicks. So I think that would be extremely unwise for Giga to do here, to start boxing with Kattar. And another X factor is the small cage. The small cage greatly favors the boxer who needs to close distance. We saw when Barboza was really putting the pressure on Chikadze, Chikadze started getting real flinchy, he started getting really erratic with his footwork. The guy's hands are not good. His hands are very wild. He throws a lot of singular shots. Kattar, if he uses feints to bait out bait out the wild haymakers of a tired Giga Chikadze later on in the fight, and then he starts attacking with combinations, he starts attacking the body. I feel like a late finish could definitely be on. As I alluded to before, like, Kattar has more ways to win. Like, he's mostly well known for his boxing, but the guy was a good wrestler in high school, and he could have competed in college in wrestling, but he chose to pursue MMA. And if Kattar even attempts to wrestle, like he attempts takedowns, he initiates clinch exchanges, Giga will gas before round 3 starts. Like, and that's the truth. We saw it in the Emma's fight. And I think there's a lot of recency bias caked into this betting line. Obviously the beatdown that Holloway gave him was a really bad one. Statistically one of the worst, but you know, he never went down. He only looked like he was badly rocked once. And you know, it's got to be said, Holloway doesn't hit hard at all. Holloway doesn't put a whole lot behind the strikes, really. He's just, you know, touching for the most part. I'm not expecting him to die off one punch or one kick. If he hits a flush head kick, then yeah, for sure he might go out, but I'm not expecting Giga to put him out with his punches. That would surprise me. Because before the Holloway fight, and even after the Holloway fight, Kattar seems stupidly durable. So I'm not expecting him to just die off one punch here. Let's have a look at the betting lines. Yeah, so where is it? For God's sake. I don't know why it's not on best fight odds like that. I'm super tired, guys. I'm super sleep deprived. But I just need to get this video out. Why is it down here? But yeah. Next week's videos will be higher quality, and they'll be the individual breakdowns. Alright, so yeah, I think Kattar should be the favourite. Oh, sorry, my prediction is Kattar by TKO round 3 or 4. So I think Kattar should be the favourite, honestly. I think I'm going to bet him at $3, obviously. What's Kattar? What's the bet I was even looking at? I think, it was just the live bet. I wanted the live bet on Kattar. If Giga's looking good early, and if I can get Kattar at like $4, $5, I'll grit that, because I think Giga does slow down. And Kattar always has that potential to mix in the wrestling. So yeah, obviously the videos will be better next week. My energy will be a lot better. I just haven't slept in like 24 hours, honestly. And I'm just pumping out this video. I've never recorded like an hour. Like an hour of just non-stop talking in a row. It's fucking exhausting. But yeah, cheers for sticking with it if you're still watching. Yeah, hope you have a good day and enjoy the fights.